For today's lecture, it is going to be about diabetes, specifically the contributions and effects of food cultures which lead to diabetes here in the United States. My name is Lisa Bowles, and for this topic, I hope you understand the concepts of diabetes as well as how food culture contributes to them. Before I can talk about how food culture relates to diabetes, we must understand what diabetes is. There are two types of diabetes, which my definitions on the slide are from Diabetes Research Institute Foundation website. But just to give you a general idea, type 1 diabetes is where the body produces little to no insulin. It's also genetic, so it's passed down through families, and it is insulin contained. So people are given a pump with insulin to help moderate the breakdown of sugar. Type 2 diabetes often comes up from later years. It's due to eating habits and diets, which we'll see throughout this presentation is more based on the food culture here in the United States. Now knowing a general idea or concept of what diabetes is, how can we relate this to food culture here in the United States? Diabetes has two relationships connected to food culture. This would be social environmental and physical environmental. The reason why it's these two types of relationship is social is presented with the concept that food is related to different social groups in which we feel pressure to eat certain types of food. Here in the United States, we have this fast food culture, which everyone expects you to eat somewhat of, like if you're too busy or you just want to go out with friends. It's a social concept to go out and eat. The physical relationship of food culture here is the body itself, as well as where the food is produced to be brought into the body. This is really important because diabetes resides in the body, which is the physical environment. We also know the food culture here in the United States contains a lot of high sugar content and fats, which is one of the leading contributors to the problem of type 2 diabetes here in the United States. While researching this topic, I conducted two interviews as well as one observation, the first being with Bradley Smith, who I also did the observation on, the second being Jerome Van Dyke. What I want you to take away from this slide is the contrast between the two living situations, Bradley being with type 1 diabetes and Jerome Van Dyke being with type 2 diabetes. Bradley always has to be more prepared than those with type 2. This is because he always has to be carrying his insulin as well as his pump. This also means that he has a special backpack in which he carries his insulin because insulin needs to be stored at room temperature or in a cold area. Bradley also has to have snacks and juice boxes in order to help his sugar levels if they go drastically low. Jerome, on the other hand, just has to be aware of what he is eating and constantly keep in mind the possible sugar amounts in the food that he eats. So diet, exercise, and some help from oral medication really helps him stay in control of his sugar levels. So what questions did this answer? My first question for this topic is how diabetes is related to food culture, which we learned through social environment and physical environment. My second question was what types of diabetes are straightly linked to food culture, which of course we learned through type 2 diabetes. Lastly, what type of food or food culture contributes to diabetes, which is food that contains high amounts of sugars, and fast food culture.